Okay, so we're going to try it that way and hopefully that'll be better. We will see. As if it's just a sat nav. You can see my lovely shirt, my lovely hoodie, but why would you want to see that? So, where were we then? So we're talking that we can go back to work and how bookings have totally dropped, and it's basically a bit of a nightmare. So we do have a few bookings today, have a large one in the evening and a few during the day, which we'll see if they turn up, and if they do turn up, see how many of them turn up. They've been reducing all week. It's terrible. You know, we're trying to run a business, we're trying to allow people to become entertained and enjoy themselves, but it's difficult when they are in an empty room and nobody is bothering to turn up, so there's no atmosphere. It's basically, there you go, there's your food, now get out. So I don't quite say get out like that, but you sort of think, oh, come on, hurry up and finish your food so I can go home. It's not fun in hospitality at the moment. People really, I totally get why they're not wanting to come. And when you have someone like, okay, so those of you who don't know, I am living in the south of England, and our chief medical officer, Sir Chris Whitty, Professor Chris Whitty, not Sir Chris Whitty, Professor Chris Whitty, give him his proper title, advised not going out unless you have to. Only mix with those that you feel you must, which basically from him is code for, yeah, I wouldn't do it if I was you. There's too many people getting sick at the moment. Yesterday, 88,000 confirmed cases of COVID, of which I would suggest the majority now are Omicron, which is the new South African variant. They now decided, well, it's bloody here now, we might as well let them just come back, which, to be fair, makes sense. As soon as we have 3 or 4 cases, we ain't stopping it. And we're yet to see how deadly it is. I'm sure over the next few weeks we will be pretty bad. Going by what I've heard, they seem to think that if it carries on the way it is, everyone in the whole country should have Omicron by New Year. Something to look forward to. There you go, so New Year present, people. You're going to get a potentially deadly illness. I know it doesn't kill everyone. I'm not being too over the top here. But what does get to me is people who refuse the vaccine. Oh, the vaccine was created too fast and it's not safe. What's not safe about it? It's perfectly safe. They need to do proper research and not listen to the Karens on Facebook and the morons who don't know what they're talking about. They need to actually talk and listen to the likes of Chris Whitty and Jonathan Van Dam, people who actually know what they're talking about, and just go to the doctor. Go to their doctor and he will give them the same advice, because these people who are professionals and are experts and are trained in medicine and science and stuff like that, they know that the vaccine, although it was done very quickly, and there is no denying that, it was done by the whole bloody world. The whole world were looking for a vaccine. It's not like they'd found a cure for cancer in 3 months. Sadly, that can't happen, and so much money goes into that, but it's not every person who knows how to do that on it at the same time. It was a matter of, we have the basic vaccine, that hasn't changed. This is the same as far as I know, and if I'm incorrect here, then someone can let me know. Preferably someone who does know, not some dickshit who thinks that they know, actually legit know. But the base of vaccine is pretty much the same across the board, so it's similar in many ways to what we would have if we were having the flu vaccine. It's just that what is actually done is whatever they need to use for any other illness, in this case COVID-19, that is added rather than the flu. So it's not like we don't know that vaccines don't work. Vaccines have been proven to work. That's why smallpox and malaria are able to be basically removed. We don't suffer from these things anymore, and it's really good because of these absolute legends and geniuses, and very, very much cleverer people than me and Karen off of Facebook, who thinks she knows everything, who actually is as thick as shit. And that's why she spends all day on Facebook and doesn't actually go to work and do anything, as opposed to these professors and these scientists who do actually know what they're doing and do actually have an inkling of sense. And just because they can explain things at an extremely high level, as in postgrad level and beyond, they can also bring it down to layman terms. So let's take something like astronomy, for example. So you have Professor Brian Cox. I'm sure if you live in the UK, you've all heard of Professor Brian Cox. Brian Cox is a physicist, and he knows stuff about planets and stuff like that. And he's great. I really enjoy his many TV programs about space. Planets was awesome. The universe was incredible, and he can, in layman's terms, because this is the thing, when you're putting out a program for everyone, you can't make it too advanced. Okay, it needs to be understood by children, but also understood by adults. So there's this great bit in one of his universe videos. There is a spot in time. So basically, if you want to see what's going to happen to our sun, you look into the skies to see what's happening. So we have quite a small sun compared to some, but what we do is we have our sun and we can see similar suns, and what happens is it has lots of hydrogen, and it turns into hydrogen nuclear fusion into helium, which hydrogen, if you didn't know, and helium are the two most abundant gases in the whole universe. And then they basically burn out the hydrogen, which turns into helium, and once it's burned out all its fuel, it gets bigger, and then it goes in on itself, and some stars, if they're big enough, and for whatever reason, will implode into a supernova and possibly turn into a black hole, or they just become like a dead star with tons of mass, and if they do explode, they then project a load of substance across the universe, and that is what is believed to have happened after the first stars, which helped create the planets. Big dust bowls, dust clouds formed, and little specks of dust sort of joined together because of fusion and atoms and other stuff I don't really understand, and then created rocks which some of the size of a car, and eventually these became more and more in this dust, which first of all was hydrogen and helium, and then started getting things like iron and gold, magnesium, and many other things, until you get a biodiverse planet which is in what is known as the Goldilocks zone from the sun, in our case 90 million miles from our sun, and with the light and the heat of the sun travelling at the speed of light, it takes 8 minutes 19 seconds to get to us, and over a course of about 4 billion years, photosynthesis work happened when plants basically polluted the earth with carbon monoxide, and then again over 3 billion years, cellular bacteria then became multiform. So it may have gone from a single cell for 3 billion years into 2 cells, and then gradually they became more diverse and start off would be in the sea, and then plants would then start to grow on land, as would animals then go from the sea to the land, because there's actually stuff there which they can actually eat, and it's very more biodiverse. And because it's a living planet, we have many creatures, and in most parts of the world you can find life, and because of that we're not a planet where you can look at and see what's happened over millennia. You take a planet like Mars though, where it once possibly had sorry, just watching that lorry which I'm going to pull out, where once they may have possibly had many different types of water and stuff. That all went away because Mars wasn't big enough, didn't form large enough, 130 million miles from the sun, and therefore its magnetic force failed it, and its water went, and it's now 3 billion years, and you can see the craters on it. You can work out when these happened, and you know, science is incredible. Can I get my head around everything in physics? No. This has sort of gone from what was going to be a chat about COVID to physics, but there you go. Who knew? Who cares? We're nearly done anyway. Nearly at work now, but you know, it's been fun actually having a chat to myself in the car. Quite enjoy doing these stupid videos, pointless videos in many ways. Most people don't watch them, and I don't care. This is the first one I've done for weeks, so there you are. Although coming up soon, I am going to start my look at, and we are definitely only going to be doing Europe here for ages, but the World Wars. So we're going to look pre-World War to look at the formation of Germany and how this became potentially a problem, which eventually did become a problem. And so we're going to look at the formation of Germany and when that happened, and then how that brought about World War One and the stuff what happened there, and then the rise of the fascists in Germany and Italy, and also there was also fascism regime in Spain that actually won, but they didn't get involved in the Second World War. That is pretty much why it is known as the Spanish flu. And we're going to go on to that. That's also going to be a part of it, because that happened towards the end of the First World War, similar as a pandemic, similar in some ways, I guess, to COVID-19. But then we're going to look at how the fascists came to power and the hate, and how they were able to use propaganda. And the thing, what they had, which allowed them to actually do it, was the use of TVs, and how they totally used their powers to force people to do whatever the bloody hell they wanted. The Nazis were an absolute piece of trash, and anybody who supports them or supported them, although you can sort of understand why, I suppose, they would have been supported, because you sort of didn't really have a choice. You would have supported them, and you were able, as long as you weren't obviously of someone who they disagreed with, you were able to, in many ways, carry on, and in some ways, excuse me, sorry. So in many ways you were able to carry on with your life, and in some ways it actually got better for a bit, because they got rid of certain groups, which then meant that there were more jobs to go around, and they were basically taking properties from, let's say, Jewish people, because that was predominantly who it was, and businesses from them. They were no longer allowed to own businesses, they were no longer allowed to have money, and they were basically forced to leave. And what a way to leave. You were treated worse than livestock. And, you know, no offence to any of our vegan friends out there, but is animal life any more important? Well, I'm sure I would argue that an animal is just as important, but yeah, I don't buy it personally. I would, for a cure for cancer, sacrifice every mouse, sorry, and hamster and rat, go with it. That's the thing, nobody want to get rid of every single biodiverse animal, because they're all there for a reason, and unfortunately mankind, they sort of understand it, but they don't want to play by the rules of nature. And you know, and because of what humans do, it means that you can broadcast to absolutely nobody on your phone on your way to work in the morning or whatever, from wherever, and you can sit in a restaurant and take pictures of your food and show people how stupid and scatty you are, sat in your bedroom showing off your cleavage if you got any, and being an absolute jackass, making all sorts of videos about all sorts of stuff, having a good time and having a bad time and just having a time. There you go. Anyway, I'm nearly at work now, so it's nearly time to finish, but there you go. So literally go past King Alfred and his statue. If he actually existed, and wonder if he actually looks anything like his statue. Probably not. It's funny how things change, because you can clearly see what I look like on my phone, but you go back, you know, a few years, you get an okay picture, and then you go back, say 50 years, that'd be in black and white or something, and then you go back even further and that'd be really crap. Anyway, that is me now done. So that's space, because that's what I'm gonna do, because that's what I do. And there we are, we're here, back to another day at work. Great, something to look forward to. Anyway, this has been your man in the shed, Henry P, in the car. 5 different types of, let's make sure it don't fall out and break the phone, and I'll see you, pals.